How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? This is Matthew Simone with Bravo Foxtrot United Veterans. We have some really important guests today that I want to introduce to everybody. We have a father and son duo, Alan Lockle. Alan Senior's son, he served during Operation Enduring Freedom in the Navy, and Alan Senior, Mr. Lockle, he served during the Vietnam conflict in the early 70s. Now we want to go over a few different topics today, and we'll kick it off with an introduction. Please, Alan, you could start. Tell a little bit about yourself, when you served, your service, without getting into too much detail yet.
Yeah, I'm Alan Lockle. I served in the U.S. Navy as a damage controlman, and that's technically like a firefighter on board a ship on the USS Mason. It was Destroyer 87, based off the DD-529, which was a ship about 100 years ago, the first African-American manned crew of the USS Mason. Served 2013 to 17, and I'm getting sidetracked. So I was in about 2 days of combat on my second deployment, and it was a pretty tough thing to go through, but we made it happen, and everyone did their jobs.
And then Mr. Lockle, Alan Senior, if you could just tell us just a little bit about when you served, what branch you served with.
Yes, I was drafted in 1970 in the Army. I got drafted. I served with the Maricel Division. I was in 11 Bravo, which is infantry. I did my basic training in Long Island, New Jersey, Fort Dix. My advanced infantry training I did at Fort Polk, Louisiana. After my training, I went right to Vietnam. I was in Vietnam for about 11 months and 5 days. And,
So I want to ask you, how does it? We'll go back to Alan here. How did it feel going through? Being deployed, going through a combat situation, and then returning home. How was that for you?
So it was pretty, at times, depressing being on board a ship where you can't see outside all the time, and it's dark. It's a dark, loud machine that you're on all day, and sometimes you get off watch at 2 a.m, or you serve the 10 to 2, or the one before that, which is like the 6 to 10,
right?
And you just have a weird schedule. So one night, this is my second deployment. I went on 2 deployments, 7 months long each, to all different countries in the Middle East. It was very beautiful and fun. And I got off the watch at 10 to 2, and it was, I guess, my combat experience. I went to bed, and I'm about to pass out, and something just didn't seem right. And I just finally closed my eyes and passed out, and out of nowhere I heard a loud explosion-like sound, and I think that moment changed my life for the rest of my life. It made me have trouble going to sleep every night, and I don't really tell people. I'm up till 2 or 3 in the morning every night, and it's messed up. I'm not reliving it, but the feeling my body has when I'm trying to go to sleep is remembering that time. And it was about 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they said, inbound missile, port side, this is not a drill, all hands to your battle stations. They said that message twice, and I'll never forget it. And it's hard to deal with, but I stayed positive and, did my thing for 2 days after that. The alarm to go to your battle stations, we were running around like maniacs. I was on flight quarters with the helicopters going up and down. with 2 Tomahawk missiles on the deck. So it was a pretty serious event, and I knew at any moment if we got hit, I would be one of the first people dead. So
Why is that?
because there was 2 live Tomahawk missiles on the deck, and if we were to get hit, they would have catastrophically exploded the aft end of the flight deck.
Wow, and you were pretty
I was
much
holding a fire hose right there. The ship's rocking. We're going 10 knots. The helicopters are taking off, lifting goods, whatever they have to do, search and rescue.
right.
And it was pretty rough for 2 days. I was after that flight quarters, no sleep for 2 days. So for 2 days, running around making sure everything's modified Zebra. That means the doors have to be airtight. So if anything got hit, there was no water leakage. And it was just a pretty rough experience.
What is that called? Modified Zebra?
Zebra. It's when you have to make sure the shipboard integrity and watertight seals are all shut.
Right. So like basically all the hatches are
All the
sealed shut.
hatches are shut. They're zipped down. You have to make sure they're properly torqued down. It's a lot of work. I was making sure all these things were done. Running around telling girls they're gonna be okay, like 18-year-old shipmates that never thought they'd be in combat in their life, guys and girls crying. So, there was a point in time we had to brace for shock twice, and that was a very memorable event. We're all at the aft repair locker, and it was just so hectic, man. People are screaming, what the fuck, this and that, and it's like, it gets pretty crazy. So, I try to look at the good. We all did our job. Everyone listened and performed the way we should, and for the first time, and I think it might have been in the Arleigh Burke class destroyer history, we used our counter defense measures, and they performed and took down a missile that was coming at us, 2 missiles.
Wow.
So not 1 but 2, and it worked both times, saved our lives.
Wow.
We were pretty sure, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we were pretty sure they were locked on, and they said they landed in the water, but we know we shot them down.
Right.
And then shot 2 more counter defense missiles at the base where they had shot the missiles from. I imagine taking out the target.
Wow.
So
Wow, pretty cool.
pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
First time I heard this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I never talked to my son about experience, or I never
Yeah.
told him about mine. And same with my father. It was World War II. We never talked. I wish he was alive.
So this is, I mean,
It's the first time we're ever really talking about what we went through.
this is incredible right now. Father and son, and they've lived together for a number of years after service. This is the first time we're breaking ground on this conversation. This is what a blessing. It's absolutely incredible.
I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful Matt and his Bravo Foxtrot are real and exist.
Yeah, man. So, if whatever you're comfortable with sharing
Yeah. Well,
about your experience,
good.
in combat. Or,
yeah. All right. My experience is, what I know is every year was different in Vietnam. I was always in the jungle in Vietnam, and everybody has different stories. I used to go to the vet center. I heard so many stories, guys that were there different years, some guys that were in heavy combat, and some guys that weren't in heavy combat. And with post-traumatic stress, I learned it could be, you don't have to be in heavy combat to get post-traumatic stress. It could just be one little thing that happened to you. With me, and you never know how you're going to act in combat. I remember my first time, I was with my unit, they shipped me out to it, and it was early in the morning, fog was still up, and we were about 5 or 6 of us, and we were going down there. We were going down this small hill, and all of a sudden, the guy in front of me gets killed from fire, and this all happened within a couple seconds. The guy behind me, I guess I froze. It's like just like 2-3 seconds. Guy behind me pushed me down, probably saved my life. And I remember this shooting in semi-automatic in that direction. It was thick jungle. And then I remember turning my head, and guys must have heard that we were in trouble. They ran to us, and they were standing up, this like no fear, just shooting in the area. and I believe it was just maybe one NVA or that shot maybe 60 rounds at us or around that. And I don't know why, but the captain, he picked me to be his radio operator. To this day, I don't know why. Some people said maybe the guy that got killed was his radio operator. And so what I'm trying to say is you never know how you're trained for something, but you never know how you're gonna react in combat. And it woke me up. I was no hero, nothing like that. I remember starting shooting semi-automatic, got low to the ground, and that's one of my experiences.
How do you find that? Do you find that affects you today? I mean, this is the first time you're talking to Alan about this as well?
Yeah. Yes, true. Yeah, what helped me out a lot, when I came home from Vietnam, nobody really cared except the immediate family and people that were very patriotic. But I worked a lot, which helped me. I went through 2 divorces. I would change my mind about going to a family event. Then I remember my second marriage. My girlfriend, she said, she wanted to hold my hand. I didn't want to hold her hand, so it was a little weird. I couldn't get close. So some of my experiences were, I did drink, but I never got in trouble. I always worked. And yeah, it did, something I'll never forget, with my experiences in Vietnam. Never got close with anybody either, that's weird. And I can't remember a lot of people, their names or what happened. And I live with it. I think your brain just shuts things down too. A lot of things my brain, I don't want to know. Like I remember once a big round went off. It was the middle of the daytime. And I believe he was a captain or lieutenant. I mean, that's when my brain, and I remember holding him down. He was wounded in the neck. And what saved me, I was in a gully, like my poncho line, I had all shrapnel through it. He thought we were being attacked. So it was a friendly fire. Who knows, middle of the daytime, just laying right in the middle of the perimeter. And so some of my experiences were not with heavy combat, but friendly fire and booby traps. All right.
I hear a lot of times I speak with Vietnam veterans and because of from what I understand, because of the environment, that there was a lot of friendly fire, unfortunately.
Oh, yes.
In Vietnam.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Because they're not used to the environment they're in.
Right.
And don't know where enemies could be.
Exactly. And that's so let me ask you, how did you do you find that may have affected your relationship with Alan growing up? And Alan, do you feel that your experience may have affected your relationship with your father? And did it create that common bond, or did it drive a wedge? I think that's a really good question.
I don't know. Growing up, I didn't really know much about what he went through. He was working a lot and, trying to provide for the family, which I loved him for. And I guess there's just times when we get angry and don't know what we're doing or can't control it, maybe related to combat stress, PTS. And I think people just need to find a way to have an avenue to get it out, their anger, with maybe like talking about what they've been through could possibly help.
Well, as a Vietnam vet, I met a lot of guys that never talked about their experience. That's the way it was. I remember saying something about it in the 80s, and some girl said to me, she was a distant cousin, and she more or less said, well, Tommy never talked about Vietnam. And then I said, oh boy, and then I learned over the years, that I talked about it a little bit. It's something a lot of Vietnam vets, even to this day, some of them never talk about their experiences, especially some of them were really heavy combat. I met some guys that when I heard their story, I could have cried. what they went through. I met some guys that took their lives that I met when I went to the vet center. I remember this guy, John, he was a New York City cop, and he was real mellow, and he's the one that told me who could help me with a claim. And I didn't go to the vet center for 2-3 weeks, and then someone called me and told me that John took his life. I was like shocked. You know, you would never know it in a person, what's going, you know, I'm not qualified, what was going through his head. I just felt bad. He had a daughter, and he was a police officer, and he took his life. He was retired, and it happens to people. They just can't handle something. But
And it happens
No.
even more with veterans, and,
Oh, yes.
and that's
Yes.
the thing. You know, they often throw around a number like 22 per day, 22 suicides
sure.
per day committed by veterans each and every day in the United States. That number, by the way, does not account for drug overdoses, which is often a form of suicide for many veterans, unfortunately. So the number is actually much higher. Also, another statistic I want to throw out there, as per the CDC, 250 suicide attempts are made each and every day in the United States every day by veterans. That's over 250,000 per year.
It's insane.
It's something that deserves great attention and a little bit of research in how we can begin to tackle this issue, especially after our nation has been at war for over 2 decades for the first time in history.
yes,
I think families need to work together to talk about things they went through.
How
you know?
important?
I think it helps so much because even both of us serving, we have similarities. You know, we have things we're going through in our head that we don't talk about. So it's like it helps.
How important do you think community and family is in the process of being able to heal through our combat traumas and coming back from combat or coming back from a situation that gives us post-traumatic stress? How important is family? How important is community?
no, I think it's very important. Family is, to me, very important. It's people care, but it's not like family or a close friend that, especially someone that's been in combat and especially now, I give all the troops, they're all volunteer. I got drafted, I didn't join, and it was a crazy era during Vietnam.
But you answered the call,
I
and
did.
many people
Yes, I did.
dodged the draft.
And there was, at my time, I remember guys, when I went to Fort Hamilton, there was guys dressed as girls that didn't want to serve. And I was like from Long Island, I said, what's going on here? Guys running around, they didn't want to serve. I was like a mommy's boy, and it changed me forever, the service.
Yeah. I remember guys were trying to get sick, eating rotten food and throwing up blood and trying to get off the boat. And that was before combat, just they couldn't deal with the water or something. I don't know. People would do crazy things to get out. And I thought it was messed up because you signed up to serve your country, and the last thing you should do is give up on your country. I think it's sad.
You know,
A lot of people don't know how to deal with the stress, I guess.
it's
And they don't have
something
anyone to talk to while they're serving.
that's absolutely right, and I'll say this: it's the DoD, the Department of Defense, they ensure that each and every soldier, airman, marine, or sailor is fit for full duty upon entry into the military. But what the DoD is failing to do is they're failing to ensure that each of those service members in those branches are fit for civilian life upon discharge.
Yes.
And there needs to be closer attention put to that so that we don't run into these suicide issues, these drug addiction issues. Becoming a veteran is statistically proven to make it more likely for divorce, more likely for incarceration, drug addiction, homelessness. You know, this isn't joblessness. These aren't things that these are not variables in life that veterans should experience post discharge. It's certainly not what our recruiter promised us upon entry. I can promise you that. Right. And you know, I'll say this: hats off to Alan Lockle Sr. for the. I have an incredible amount of respect for the Vietnam War, what these men went through, and then to come home to an ungrateful nation.
Yeah.
How does that? I mean, did you have any experience with that? By the way, just kind of on a last note.
Well, yeah, I was discharged out of Army Hospital at Fort Devens. I remember taking a Long Island Railroad home. I had my uniform on. I had all my medals. The train was packed. Not one person said a word to me. You know, I see a soldier, I see a woman or
cry. It's sad.
well, I see a woman or an Army personnel now. I say thanks for your service.
Yeah.
I didn't get that, and then I just took the uniform off, and my friends took me out, and just it always stunk in my head that I remember who cared was your immediate family, your mother and father and relatives. Otherwise, everybody was worried about their own life, which that's the way it is.
It's so unfortunate though, because you know it's so easy to forget where the freedoms that we enjoy came from. It's so easy to forget that, and we must not forget as a nation the sacrifices that all of our service members made for all of our freedoms and sovereignty, each and every citizen living within this great country. We must not forget that. The last question for you guys is, what do you guys think about today, sharing your experiences, being here in the Bravo Foxtrot headquarters, talking about this for the very first time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge landmark. It's monumental. And what say you?
I just think I'm still struggling, and there's not enough for us veterans. And I've been in and out of my father's house for the whole 7 years I've been out, and I was in apartments, in and out of housing, and in my car at some points because I was too stressed out to explain to my father why I couldn't live in an apartment. Or like maybe I was going great and then something happened. I would lose my job, or I must have had 10 jobs in the past 7 years or more. Sometimes jobless for years. So there should be more for us vets to find housing. Why are immigrants coming here given housing? Simply, like the matter of minutes they come here, they have a place to sleep and eat. But a veteran who served their country and signed the dotted line does not have a guaranteed place of living. It's absolutely insane, and it makes me so depressed that I'm 30 years old and still don't have a foundation to sleep on, like something that's guaranteed that I could live in.
That was
You know, and it makes me very emotional to talk about because I'm 30, everyone else is having families and kids, and I don't even have an apartment. My credit is not good, so I can't even think about getting one, and I'm a vet.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to get along with my son. Sometimes you just got to work harder. You can't let it get to you. That's my experience. Nobody really is going to care except for an organization like you. And as a father, I want to see my son do good in life.
Yeah.
We'll leave it like that.
incredible. I think that was a beautiful.
What I found to help with my PTSD is I like gardening, so I'll grow
me
various
too.
types of plants.
You like gardening as well.
Yeah, it's good for the brain and
Yeah.
working out.
It really
Yeah, and
helps.
it brings you a little bit
Yeah.
of, and that's one
Yeah,
of the
I feel
things.
good.
That's one of the things that Bravo Foxtrot really wants to implement in the future when we do get that temporary stable residential housing going is gardening. It's proven that
I would
working
love
with
to
the
help teach people how to garden because
Yeah.
it's such a stress reliever.
it really
it's
is,
like
and
weird,
it's
but
also
I like it.
proven that working with the earth transmutes negative energy. Something I learned from Jay.
Absorbs it, yeah.
And
Very good for you.
I want to say that I'm so grateful. I'm filled with gratitude today to be honored with the presence of these two gentlemen right here, father and son duo, Operation Enduring Freedom veteran and Vietnam combat veteran,
War on
to
terrorism.
global war on terrorism veteran as well, and Vietnam veteran. And I'm just filled with gratitude today. And I'm going to close it out. From 2006 to 2016, I served our great nation. I enlisted because I wanted to do something great with my life. I saw an opportunity to do something bigger, to do something better. And that's a big part of the reason why many people enlist in the military. We come into a family and into a community. We form a brotherhood, a camaraderie, if you will, that has been matched nowhere else that I've seen in my 39 years on this earth. The men and the women that signed up and fought for this, we fought so that the majority of us don't have to understand that. But what happens when we get out? What happens? Some of us, we pay with our lives all at once. Others of us, we pay with our lives over a lifetime. Either way, we are all in the same position. God bless our troops, and God bless the principles, ladies and gentlemen, that made our great nation free. This is Matthew Simone.
Alan Loeffel. I kind of want to add something.
Alan
too.
Loeffel Jr.
And
Yeah.
right after this, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, go.
Well, I also joined because in school, 9/11/01, I'll never forget it, midday, on TV, they started showing airplanes flying into the World Trade Center, and all these firefighters. Ever since I seen that, I always wanted to be a firefighter. And I got my opportunity on the USS Mason, and I'm just so grateful for that. I was a firefighter on board that ship, and it gave me such great, I don't know, happiness to be a firefighter.
Proud of you too.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
guys.
We're out.
All right.